that we're going to use to do that. I'll show you how I go through it. Hello. I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm just going to do a quick project today. I took off a 3-gallon Mustang tank that was mounted up here, and we're going to swap out for this wasp tank, peanut tank, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to grind this down flush. I think I'll leave it threaded, so that the threaded insert should still sit in there, and then install another one, and then drill this tank and mount it up. I also need a petcock. That's going to be another day. I think I'm going to have to order that one online. But let's get her mounted. Alright, we've got our old tank mount ground down, and we've got a spot for our new one picked out. Okay, we've got our rear mount tacked in place. We're going to leave it tacked while we bolt the tank on and make sure it sits vertical. And then once it's in the spot we want, because we can kind of bend these and tweak them as we need, we will take the tank off and get it fully welded. That shit is definitely going to catch on fire. ready to be mounted. Now I know what you're thinking. This is not up to the extremely high standards that my work normally is. But that's because I ride this bike all the time and I don't give a shit. And I've been doing this shit all weekend. And I'm a little tired. So, bon appetit. Alright. Petcock came in, so we got that mounted up here. It worked just kind of perfect, just enough to keep this fuel line off the rocker cover, and just enough to be able to actually use this. There we go. Gotta remember now that that's off. There we go. And we got it plugged with a 1/4-inch plug on this side, and everything is tightened down, so this is ready for gas. Ready to ride. Maybe I will do that this afternoon. So since our last paint project went so well, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I'm gonna keep on with the painting, and we're gonna paint the new tank that I just mounted up here. This is the mid-tunnel peanut tank that we just mounted up here in the earlier part of this video, and we're gonna paint it to match the fender. So originally I had a Mustang tank on here that was the same color, kind of this darker cherry red with some metallic in it. So we're gonna match the front to the back. So we've got a few things here to do that. I'm gonna show you how I put these all together and get a really cool color. So let's get to it. All right, let's start by getting this tank up here. This is a brand new tank, as you saw. But we're still going to give it a good cleaning and scuffing before we lay down any base coats. Alright, so just like on the last project, I'm going to start by giving this a really thorough sanding. This is 400 grit, and I'm trying to get rid of any of the like the grain and the steel, any weld marks that are still left, which I have to say, Lowbrow makes a good tank. They do a really good job of cleaning that up for you. So there's not much work to be done, but we're still going to give it a once over. Alright, so that was a little slow going with the hand sanding with the 400. I don't have an orbital sander, but what I do have is this guy, and this is some 240. So I've already done this section here, and you can see what a job it's doing of kind of blending these lines where they've ground down the welds. And this is all the hand sanded. And you can kind of see better up here where I haven't quite done as much. But this is really taking down the surface of the steel nicely. We're going to do the whole tank with this 240, and then we'll give it a thorough washing with a Scotch-Brite and some dish soap, and then we will start laying down our paint. That actually did a really good job of taking down the surface of this just enough, and then it helped me identify some of the uneven patches here, especially in this flatter section of the tank, and then get those evened out as well. So I'm pretty happy with the result of that. It removed a lot of the grain from the metal, and then a lot of the welding lines that had been ground down, and you almost can't even see the seams in the tank anymore. So now we will get this cleaned up, and we'll be back in just a minute. Alright, so we've thoroughly washed and dried our tank, and there's how it's looking so far. Nice and smooth, good finish but not too slick, scuffed enough to hold that first coat that we're going to put on here. And I did that just with some dish soap. and a green Scotch-Brite. So next we'll set up our paint booth and we will lay down some paint. Alright, so now we're cleaned up with Windex. We have masked off our petcock, and I have just stuffed a couple of paper towels in the fuel fill because it doesn't really need to be perfect, does it? So we're ready to lay down some base coat, and I'll show you what I got for that. Okay, our base coat for this project is going to be Rust-Oleum Metallic. And normally I'd put a self-etching primer down on this bare metal, but in this case we're just going to give it a shot. You guys can see how it turns out. There's our first coat, nice and light. We'll give that a few minutes to dry or flash off, so 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll come back for number 2. Okay, there is coat number 2. So we're done with the gold as a base. Next, we're going to hit it with this metal cast. I used this on the rear fender before, and it gives it a really cool kind of candy look with the kind of metal flake of the gold coming through underneath just a little bit, so it's a little bit translucent. So we're going to shoot that next. So there's coat 1. Again, just a light coat. There are some spots where you can see how it's just a little translucent and you still get the metallic coming through underneath. Pretty cool. Show you how it's starting to look now. Good is the answer. It looks good. It's looking really good. Look at how that lights up in the sun. It's coming out really good. I think that's our last coat of red. We're gonna start shaking up some clear and get it cleared. All right, next up is our clear. So we shook it, we mixed it, and then we shook it again. So let's spray it. Alright, so there's our paint done. It's not bad. There's a couple of goofs in some spots, but we'll wet sand it down and buff it. I also was at the swap meet today and I found this polished aluminum S&S cover to replace the black powder coated one. So there we go. Today we're going to attempt to wet sand this new paint job. So this clear is cured for a few days now, almost a week, and we've got some 2,000 grit sandpaper and some buffing compound, and we are going to try to cut and buff this clear. Let's see how it goes. Got a foam pad on the drill and some wires compound. See if we can't get this thing polished up. So there's our chopper all chopped back together. Decided to throw these kind of cheapo drag pipes on. I think I'm going to get rid of these Screaming Eagles at a swap meet, or maybe just use them as a loaner set, you know. But they were a little too bulky for this bike, so back to the drag pipes. I have no idea how loud it's going to be. I think we'll start it up and take it for a ride.